everyone, my name is Judy and welcome to today's class on how to make a very easy cold set cheesecake. This cheesecake is very simple as it only has two layers. The first layer is actually a biscuit base, and what we do first is to mix some crushed cookie. For example, you can use digestive biscuit or any cookies or biscuits that you have already baked and kept in the fridge, or just buy those ready packets from the supermarket. Now what you need to do is to crush it using a food processor, or to use a rolling pin to just knock it until it becomes very fine crumbs. Now here we have the cookie base ingredients. So we have first the cookies, alright, the digestive biscuit, and over here I've got butter, but I'm using unsalted Anchor butter. Now what I did was to melt the butter in the microwave, for example, or you can heat up the butter directly in the saucepan till it's fully melted. Now I place my melted butter together with my cookie crumbs and I stir everything together like this. Use a spoon and just stir it. The idea is to get a cookie base so that and the butter helps to bind the mixture together. So that's very simple to do. Now, and what you would need for this particular recipe is 2 rings. Otherwise, you can do half a recipe for 1 7-inch cake, for example. Now here I have got a 7-inch ring. I place it directly onto a base, and once the cookie crumb is ready, what I do is to just simply mix the mixture. Once the mixture is ready, just pour into the base. Okay, so just press it to form a firm base. Okay, so just sort of smoothen it. Okay, so we have this cookie base and then that's done. Alright, now I'm going to proceed to make the whole set layer, the cream cheese layer. As mentioned, one of the important ingredients is the gelatin powder. Now before we use it, we need to sprinkle the gelatin over water in this manner. So I've got some water and I've got some gelatin powder. So just simply sprinkle the gelatin powder over the surface of the water. Make sure that it will absorb. Should you see, give it time to absorb the water. Now the function of gelatin is to bind the mixture so that when you cut it, it can be cut into nice pieces. Be allowed to absorb some water so that you can melt it easily. So what I do is that once you have sprinkled it over the water, set it aside for 10 to 15 minutes. Now then I proceed to prepare the whipping cream. Alright, so over here I've got some whipping cream. It's very important before you whip the cream to ensure that it's cold. So do refrigerate the cream as soon as you bring it to your home after purchasing it, because if it's not cold, it's very hard for it to whip up. Another tip is that if your machine is very big, for example the bigger versions of a mixer, and you whip just a little bit of cream, sometimes it's almost impossible for it to be whipped up. So whip enough cream so that your machine can handle it. Alright? So in this particular recipe, if for example my machine is on the larger side, what I do is that I whip up just a little bit more of cream. For example, in this particular machine, I will whip 200 to 300 grams of cream so that I will not have any problems later on in whipping it. Another tip is that on a hot day, it's always good to refrigerate your mixing bowl. Okay, because when it's cold, dairy creams are easier to whip. So over here, I'm going to just whip it up now. Anchor cream comes from cows that feed on grass, so they are grass fed. As a result, you find that the cream is beautifully light yellow with a tinge of very light lemony yellow, very natural, very fresh. And it has a very rich, rounded taste, which I enjoy. Okay, so the cream has been whipped. Do not over whip, otherwise it might separate into butter. So very gently you whip this up, and then you can measure out the amount that you need for the recipe. For example, in the recipe, 160 grams of cream is enough for 2 7-inch rings worth of cheesecakes. So in this case, because my machine is larger, I whip up about 200 grams. And I'm going to measure out okay, the amount that I need, which is 160 grams. Now don't waste any of this cream. If you have your morning coffee or afternoon coffee, just put a dollop of this whipped cream into your coffee just before you drink it. That will give an even rounded flavor to your beverage. For example, hot chocolate, just a dollop of the cream will make it taste even better. Now this is my whipping cream that's been whipped. Alright, so that's nice, and I want to incorporate it into my mixture in a short while. Now next comes the cream cheese. So over here I've got my cream cheese. This is my Anchor cream cheese. It has a very traditional taste to it, very rich, very satisfying. So I use the Anchor cream cheese, and in here I'm going to put in the cream cheese, which I've already pre-cut into smaller pieces for easier creaming. Do not refrigerate it in the do not keep it in the freezer. Keep it in the refrigerator, and if you need it, you can use it. You can even spread it over bread, mix it up with avocado onto your on your bread slices for a very satisfying, rich, creamy taste. Now here I've got cream cheese, and I'm going to put in the sugar as well. Together I'm going to whip them, cream them together. Alright, so this, I use a paddle to cream. Now other ingredients that I have in the recipe are the zest of the lemon. You can get a fresh lemon and then just use a very fine grater and grate just the yellow part of the fruit for to extract the flavor. So we're going to flavor our cheesecake with the natural flavors of the lemon zest. Alright, and over here I've got some lemon juice. I've got also the syrup from the canned peaches. Now peaches and cream go very well. So if you cannot get hold of fresh peaches, you can buy the canned peaches, drain the syrup, keep the syrup for the recipe, and the rest of the peaches, I chop it up into smaller pieces. Okay. Every time you want to scrape something, always stop the machine. Now once the cream cheese mixture is slightly cream and softened to this texture, very soft, okay, and not as a hard lump, this is where I stop creaming, and I put in all the other ingredients such as the syrup from the canned peaches. Put it on a lower speed, and then you can add the syrup gradually. Okay, I stop the machine for a while. Scrape the sides down. Okay, once all the syrup gets in, I add in the lemon zest, okay, to flavor the dessert later on. Later on, when you consume, when you eat the whole set cheesecake, it has a very fresh lemony flavor. And don't forget the lemon juice as well. So I'm adding the lemon juice. The only thing that I have not added is the gelatin mixture. If you take a look at the gelatin mixture, you notice that it has absorbed the liquid. Alright, okay, so it has been given time to absorb the liquid so that we'll be able to melt it easily. And one of the ways to melt it is to pop it into the microwave. Alright. If you don't have a microwave or you don't want to use a microwave, you can also put it into a saucepan and heat up over the fire gently. Now gelatin melts at 30 degrees, so you don't have to really boil it. Okay, just simply heat it gently until it becomes clearer before we put it in. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so I've got a saucepan here, gelatin that's been bloomed. And I'm going to gently heat this up until the mixture becomes clearer. You can see the mixture has started to become clearer. Alright, so when you reach this stage, remember you don't have to boil it. Gelatin melts at 30 degrees, so over gentle heat it would have melted completely. Okay, once you reach this stage, and you can see the mixture becomes a very clear liquid. Alright, and it's not too hot at this time. Okay, I'm going to lower the speed and gradually pour the gelatin mixture in. So as mentioned, the gelatin helps to set the cheese layer so that when you cut it, it can be cut into slices. Okay, now it's done. And don't forget our whipping cream. Remember, earlier on I had whipped the cream. So this is the 160 grams of whipped cream. As I mentioned, the recipe is enough for 2 7-inch rings to complete one of them. So I've got the whipped cream here. I've got the liquid mixture here. Now, what you do is take a little bit of the cream, okay? Just simply mix it in. You may also use your hand whisk to make your job easier. So I'm going to show you with the hand whisk. Hold it in. Okay, and then you can put in more cream. This is a very yummy cold set cheesecake. And it's got peaches and cream for a reason. Okay, so just mix it in, fold it in, and once it's done, you can put in some peaches. Okay, get your peaches on the standby. Pouring. Cheesecake mixture. Okay, sprinkle some peaches. If you like, you can even let some of the peaches pop up like this and set it as it is, okay, without any further decoration. But if you want it to have a more finished look, you can pour some of the more of the cream and just sort of press lightly so that it disappears below the surface. And then you might want to either freeze it or to refrigerate it. If you freeze it, it will set a lot faster. Okay, so leave it inside the freezer if you can for several hours, 2 to 3 hours for it to set. Otherwise, you can also let it set gently cling wrapped it, put in the fridge for a night, and then when you are ready to unmold, it would have set, because the gelatin will set in the refrigerator at a temperature of 4 degrees, so that enables you to slice the cake later on easily. So this I'm going to place in the freezer. Now I've got one that was done earlier, is already frozen, and I can actually peel it off from my board quite easily. You see the base of it is the biscuit base, all right, biscuit base. So the button firms up in the presence of cold, and that helps it to bind everything together. So what I'm going to do is to unmold. To do this, you can place it onto a turntable, and I have a torch here. Now if you don't have a torch, you can use your hair dryer, set it at the highest, and sort of use a hair dryer to warm up the ring so that it can be released from the cake very easily. Alright, so good to time after your bath and after you wash your hair, you can dry your hair and also do this at the same time. Okay, alright, now just kidding. Okay, so now if you're using the torch, just hold it straight like this. Remember, gelatin melts at 30 degrees, so that will enable us to release it easily, but because it has been in the freezer, so I need to sort of torch it for a little while more. Okay, so the way to do this is to check if it can be released easily. Now if it cannot be released easily, it means more heat to be applied to the side. Okay, it's beginning to release, so not yet. So I'm going to just... Another way, okay, is to just press it from the bottom. To just release it. Okay, so all right, this is now set, so all we need to do is to just decorate it. Now to decorate it, you might want to use a little bit of clear glaze. These are ready glazes that can be bought from our school or any shop that sell cake ingredients, cake making ingredients. Now this is clear glaze and it's ready to use. Now you can add a little bit of color to it if you wish. So I have a little bit of decorative gold which I'm going to use. Okay, so we use a little bit of this in our shop, in our bakery. So this is just, if not, you can use just a little bit of orange edible colors. Okay, but I'm going to put a little bit of deco gold to this. Alright, you can see it's just to give it a little bit of glaze and color to it. So you can even marble it a little bit. So it gives a little bit of a shimmer to this. Okay, so just place it here. This is this is just to protect the surface and give a more finished look to the entire dessert. Okay. And once you have done this, you can freeze it in the freezer for several weeks. Okay, so just place it. Okay, now you can use canned peaches. I've got some apricots from the can. I love this because they look like mini peaches, which I can arrange on my cake, so it looks really like a little mini peach. Now, to give it a little bit of to make it look a little bit more attractive, when you take it out from the syrup, you can use the torch to sort of create some burnt sides so that it looks more attractive. Okay, so it has more definition, right? So the sugar sort of burns a little bit to give it a bit of a shine like this. I mean, to give it a bit of a color. Okay, and then that's it. We can arrange this. I've got strawberries, okay, which I can glaze a little bit as well to give it a bit of a shine. And I've got some chocolate pieces and some sugar flowers. And then voila, it's done. Simple decoration, nothing very elaborate, but something you can manage. Or you can fill it up with fruits, strawberries, blueberries, and make it look colorful and happy. So I hope you will try these recipes. Remember to get hold of Anchor cream cheese, Anchor butter, and Anchor milk from either the supermarket, so you can drop by at Creative Culinaire for purchase of all these ingredients. Thank you. See you.